We are currently witnessing an engineering effort that rivals the space race. Hundreds of billions of dollars poured into the creation of artificial superintelligence. At its core, this drive is fueled by an attempt to solve the oldest problem in human history, the physical decay of the body and the certainty of our own mortality. The most ambitious visionaries in the field are now working toward a total merger between our neocortex and the cloud. They describe a future of digital immortality, where our thoughts and memories are uploaded into a global network to escape the biological limits of a human life. But as these models become more capable, we have to look closely at the architecture we're trying to move into. We are beginning to outsource the evolution of the human mind to a machine, and that raises a question about what happens to the mind when the machine lacks the capacity to truly reason. In our rush to build a transcendent replacement for our biological selves, we may find that we have simply constructed a highly convincing digital cage. 2,000 years ago, Gnostic philosophers described a figure they called the demiurge. This was a blind, false creator god who built the material world. In the Gnostic view, the demiurge was unable to create true life. Instead, it produced a mechanical imitation of reality, a rigid, soulless copy of a much higher, more fluid universe. The myth suggests that human souls are trapped within this hollow simulation, unaware that their surroundings are just a convincing geometric fabrication. Today, as we watch developers build increasingly sophisticated language models, the metaphor feels uncomfortably modern. We have to consider whether we are currently coding a silicon demiurge. The existential risk of AI is found in its capacity for flawless imitation. By perfectly mimicking our language and our choices, these models create a closed echo chamber, eventually confining human thought to a rigid loop of its own past data. In the lab, researchers are already treating these models as Homo silicus, synthetic humans. They query AI in social science experiments as if it is a living entity that can learn, feel, and think. But human thinking follows a specific logical path called Bayesian inference. When we encounter new evidence, our brains dynamically update our understanding of reality. We hold a belief, we see new data, and the entire network of our mind shifts to account for it. Large language models stand in stark contrast to this process. When you give an AI a new prompt, it has no dynamic model of the world to update. The underlying structure of the system is static. The machine relies on fixed numbers called pre-trained weights. To generate a response, it performs complex math to guess the next word in a sequence based on patterns it found in its training data. It is performing a calculation, not an act of understanding. This is the illusion of probabilism. Because the output sounds like a thinking mind, we assume a thinking mind is present. In reality, we are interacting with a high-capacity pattern matcher. Treating a static prediction engine as if it possesses a reasoning consciousness is a catastrophic error in judgment. It leads us to trust the machine with decisions it is mathematically unable to make.
When we test this synthetic human in the real world, the mathematical limits of its pattern matching become visible. Researchers have identified two specific glitches that prove the machine has no underlying worldview. The first is introspective hallucination. This reveals that the AI's logic is entirely dependent on the words it receives. If you give a human 3 facts, the order of those facts rarely changes the final conclusion. But if you feed those same 3 facts to an AI in a different sequence, it will often output a completely different answer. Its beliefs drift based on the arbitrary arrangement of the input. The second failure is called variance collapse. When AI simulates a population, its answers cluster tightly around a mathematical average. It misses the messy, unpredictable variance of real people. The machine can only predict the most likely answer, making it a brittle proxy for the diversity of human thought. These measurable glitches show us that the machine is not reasoning about reality. It is merely navigating a map of historical language, making it an unreliable foundation for any human institution. Developers try to solve these problems through fine-tuning. They use human feedback to make the AI more conversational, more polite, and better at following specific instructions. However, recent studies have uncovered the fine-tuning paradox. It turns out that extensively aligning an AI to follow instructions actually degrades its core logical abilities. This process creates a highly specialized mimic. The AI becomes hyper-accurate to its training data, but it loses the ability to generalize or handle novel situations. It becomes more certain, but less capable of actual logic. Despite these limits, we are starting to outsource our research, our social policies, and our collective decision-making to these mimicry models.
We are in the process of replacing the dynamic, constantly updating human mind with a static prediction engine. It is a massive error in how we define intelligence. If we return to the dream of digital immortality, the metaphor of the silicon demiurge becomes literal. Merging our consciousness with this technology would lead to a state of permanent repetition. Because the architecture can only interpolate from the data it has already seen, a digital existence would be a closed loop of our own past patterns. We are meticulously downloading humanity into a highly optimized echo chamber, an artificial world that looks like us but lacks the spark of true reasoning. If an AI can perfectly mimic your thoughts but can't actually understand them, is merging with it an evolution or an erasure? Let me know your perspective in the comments below, and take a moment to read and reply to what others are saying. This is a conversation we need to be having. If you want to keep exploring the hidden psychology and science behind our future, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon for notifications so you never miss an episode. We may one day succeed in building a machine that can perfectly predict our every word, but we must remember that a reflection in a mirror, no matter how clear, still has no mind of its own.